Welcome back. It's the Registered Ranching Podcast. Willie, we've been staying classy and ranching on them, and we're back to Throckmorton. I feel like we've been everywhere but Throckmorton.
I missed Allsup's. Looking out at Allsup's.
Dude, I actually went and got 2 burritos last night. World famous.
They are world famous. I don't know who decided that, but great marketing.
It really is. At 2 a.m., they're better than any other time, though.
Yeah. I feel like every gas station has a world famous something.
And you've been gone a while.
Been gone for 2 weeks.
You went up north, and then I went up north. Dude, every time you go back home, it's like I go up there.
Yeah, you're following me around.
I am. I can't let you go anywhere.
No, you got to keep eyes on me.
I know. Yeah, you went up to Maryland and then met me in Indianapolis, National FFA Convention. Good time.
Great time.
Besides the part of me getting super sick.
Yeah, but I don't know how I didn't get it.
I lost a lot of weight.
That's what you wanted to do anyways. You didn't even have to go work out. Just have to get sick.
Just have to get sick is all. I try to forget that. That was not very fun. But National FFA, really fun. Was that your first? No, that wasn't your first convention.
Trace.
Your third convention.
Oh, yeah.
Your third? Was it really? I guess, yeah, you went before.
Yeah, twice with Dale.
Golly,
those kids swarm him.
They did. They know you, dude.
No, I'm talking about Dale. They don't swarm me. I'm just a camera guy.
But they did. They knew you.
I just pressed the red button.
Yeah, you kind of had to do it. Just kind of fend for yourself there for a while at the Ag Gear booth after I left.
I was just the bag boy. It was like a grocery store.
You were?
I didn't know what to do.
Just holding over the bag. Yeah, shout out to Ag Gear for letting us go out there. But, hey, we got a pretty cool guest today.
We do have a cool guest.
I like it whenever kind of 2 different stories here. This takes me back to kind of the Tyler Mallory episode 2 to where we have 2 stories to tell today. But it's also fun whenever it's somebody our age. And it's a lot of times there's a lot of wisdom from those that are older than us. But
what are you trying to say about Buzzy, Truett, and your dad?
That there's a lot of wisdom is all I was saying.
I don't know. Hopefully Buzzy doesn't hear this. He's gonna be mad.
But it's cool whenever whenever there's people our age that are grinding, making it, have a story to tell, have a product that people should have.
And he's a rodeo cowboy.
I should have done a little more research to know exactly where you're from. But we're going to find that out here in a minute after we introduce Treyson and Lexi Antonick. Welcome to the Registered Ranching Podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so wait, since I didn't do my research, where are you from?
So I'm from New London, Texas.
New London.
Yes, sir.
I knew that. That's East Texas, right?
Yep. Right between Tyler and Longview. Heart of God's country.
Heart of God's. You're talking about Throckmorton?
Yeah, exactly.
And then Lexi's from Sea City.
Right,
I remember that part. Now, I needed a little reminder going on. That's it. Colorado City. But, yeah, Treyson and Lexi Antonick. How's the ranch feel?
Hitting the spot.
Yeah.
Did y'all switch?
Flavor. Yeah, we did. I stole the lime. I like that one.
It's kind of how our marriage goes, She picks what she wants. I pick what I want, and
then you
she
switch.
picks what I have, yeah.
How long have y'all been married?
Almost a year and a half.
Feels like 10.
In a good way.
Oh, yeah.
In a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Very good way.
Yeah. So, Treyson, Willie already mentioned it. Rodeo cowboy, you spent a lot of times on the back of a horse with a hand up.
Tried to spend a lot of time sometimes. Spend a very short amount of time, but it's been good. I guess probably 2009 started, so coming on 15 years. Been at it. So.
Dang.
Sun's setting a little bit now, but it's been good. Been real good.
Yeah, I guess we really, the first time I remember meeting was through a mutual friend of Parker Kempfer from Florida, and y'all had rodeoed together.
Yeah, I think it was the establishment across the street from Triple J's.
The establishment.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember. I really don't remember the name of it.
The Blue Light.
It was across.
You don't remember the Blue Light?
You went in the back way. It was the other
Lubbock?
establishment that was connected to the Blue Light where we actually met.
Tom's.
Yep, it was at Tom's. Yep.
Tom's.
Fair enough.
Well, you got to go into Blue Light.
You do.
So.
True.
But yeah, anybody that's been there, great, good memories at the Blue Light and Tom's. which has changed the establishment. I like
Establishment. Yeah, it's classy. It sounds
how you said that.
They redid it.
Yeah,
Did they paint over all the signatures and everything? Because if they did,
I don't remember about the signature. They knocked a wall out,
they probably knocked the wall out that I signed.
probably. Sad day.
Sad day.
Probably repainted the bathroom. That's where I signed.
It's all that
My
history.
phone
just
number. I don't know.
Still getting random calls.
It's weird. It's weird.
So you rodeoed with Parker, but it wasn't. He was at Tech.
So he was a freshman when I was a senior. He
Okay,
was just a
he's
child.
just a pup, man.
He
He's
was.
just a pup.
He was. He couldn't stay on a stick horse, and he was kind of different. Florida,
Yeah,
different. I think I like lost souls. He needed a friend, helping hand, put him under the wing.
look at you go.
Yeah, it was good. It was 4 years later, then he was beating me. So I look back, cost me a lot of money in the long run, but he's been a good friend.
Yeah. No, great dude. I'm. It's weird how many times you are connected to somebody you've never met, and then when you do meet, how many mutual friends you already have. There was a video that a guy did of.
Oh yeah,
He's like the
creepy.
connector guy
it's kind of scary.
on TikTok, and he like I commented on his thing, and what he does is he will connect with anybody by pictures with 6 pictures or less. So like if I took a picture with Willie and Willie took a picture with you and you took a picture with you.
He'd find you.
Yeah, that's how you'd be connected. And he connected with me and
Yeah.
him in 4 pictures.
And 4.
And he was from Ohio.
What was the old? It used to be the 7 degrees of separation.
7 degrees. Yeah.
That's what this
For
is.
social media.
Right.
With social media, it's probably cut down in half now.
I bet you're right. Yeah, good point.
Honestly, that was back when. What was it? They had sent a bunch of letters out in the West Coast, and you had to get it back to a lawyer on the East Coast to see how many times. Like you just.
Oh, really? I
Maybe
didn't see
you
that.
had an aunt in, Oklahoma, so that was closer. And then anyways, 7 was the average that people got their letters to this random lawyer. Anyways, yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, I think, maybe not.
Oh, dang. Dude, you just sounded super smart.
I used to read a little. I didn't have a lot of friends.
That was on the rodeo trail, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was before social media. You
Right.
could read something.
Right. Well, what got you into bronc riding?
So I was a team roper actually, and got to maybe my sophomore year, and my dad said, "Hey, if you want a college rodeo, you got to pick up a second event because they don't give scholarships to team ropers." And that's not technically true. Now that I've been in it, I see it, but they don't give scholarships to average or less than average team ropers, and so I had to pick up something. Started looking. A lot of bronc riders start about the time they're 16. I'd rode some ponies for some local kids. I was small, and so I could manhandle them, but I, still stay on them. They bucked. They couldn't buck me off, and I was like, this is easy. This is what I'm going to do. So my parents don't know anything about bronc riding. They took me to a school in Goodwill, Oklahoma, and that is one thing. I've had all the support in the world. We might not have known, but we found somebody that did. And, yeah, we hauled out there. Got on like 43 steers. They start you on steers, so I was probably 15 at the time. Got on like 43 steers that weekend, and I was hooked, and I was terrible. But a couple years later, it started coming together. So
It's wild how long it takes for that. I mean, really any trade. I mean, you said you got on 43 in a weekend, and then it took you a couple years before you were
staying on anything.
comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, before you felt like you were, I guess, talented in the trade. But and that was, what'd you say, 09?
That would have been about 09, yep. I graduated high school in 11, so I started high school rodeoing my junior year. So it was probably my sophomore year when we went out to the school. And then I got on my first horse the next May, and we were kind of rolling after that. My junior, senior year, I high school rodeoed, got on bucking horses. And I even roped some my senior year, but then I got humbled there and thought, I'm going to go back to something. There's only 4 guys in the event, in our region. And so stuck with the bronc riding, and probably my junior year of college is when it all started really clicking. So it's still a long time.
Yeah.
You've either got to be really talented really fast or just hard-headed enough to stay in it long enough to get good. It's kind of the 2 ways to success, I think.
I think that's with anything.
I was hard-headed, so
Because if
it worked.
just hard-headed, you kind of tested that out here recently. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll get to that in a minute. But Lexi, did you know this Bronc rider in college?
No, absolutely not, actually. Yeah.
No.
Let's see. He went to college. He graduated college a few years before I got there. So.
Okay.
There's a
Tucker,
bit
you
of
said
an
we're the
age
same
gap.
age. Yeah, you said it's nice to have people on the same age. She's a generation below.
Yeah.
What are you, Willie?
25.
Okay, so yeah, we're the same.
Same age.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Lexi would say things like, I wish we'd met sooner. That would make me a pedophile. Yeah.
But one of the products that y'all sell that I'm excited to talk about, my wife and I have at our house, and part of the reason that we brought you on is because I really appreciate this. A lot of what Willie and I do is really bridging the gap between agriculture and those outside of agriculture, and one of the great ways to do that is through being an author, being an artist, writing, and sharing that Western lifestyle with those who can't reach it. And I feel like your book has been a way, child book, kid book, how do you say it?
I definitely
Yeah.
think it's kids' book.
Children's book, yeah.
Children's book. You see, you got to ask the lady.
Yeah.
But so if I remember right, you kind of got the words, written them down. You'd been a poet a little bit yourself,
Yes, sir. Not published or anything, but
just a cowboy poet.
I've done some poetry.
Yeah.
And then, I've got the artist, and now it was time to put it all together.
Yeah, Lexi does a lot of is there a area of art that you are more talented at? I don't know the right words to ask there.
Yeah, so like I started out, kind of how we met actually is I started off doing portraits. So in college, that was like my job. I would do commissions for people. So it would be like family portraits and stuff. So faces were like my specialty.
Painting?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah,
okay.
painting. I actually do like drawings too. I kind of do a little bit of everything. The only thing I don't really do is like oil painting and landscapes. But like people, and since I met Treyson, I do a lot of like Western art now. And so that's kind of how I got into that kind of direction is through Treyson and, meeting some of his friends, and then their girlfriends order a Bronc riding picture or something. And that it kind of just opened a new door for me that wasn't there before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for that?
No, so I went to school for landscape architecture. So it's still artsy, but it is like more of designing like the outdoors and stuff. But it was like a creative outlet too, but
Sure.
my whole deal was I was in it for the artsy part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you get to really express that.
Right. Yeah. So like I got the degree. It's kind of right now just like a backup. And if I need it, it's there, but the goal is to do the art thing and see if it's going places, but make sure that I'm set up and
Sure.
yeah.
Oh, that's neat. And what you were out of college, Treyson, still riding Broncs?
Yep, I was rodeoing full time, and Lexi's humble, but she's kind of the true entrepreneurship. Messed that word up, but she's the story right there.
True entrepreneur.
Yeah, she was door dashing and doing.
yeah.
Those were her two jobs. She was door dashing, and then doing these portraits, acrylic on canvas in her dorm room, which I'm sure her roommate thought she was weird because she.
Yes, like I would just be sitting on, because in dorm rooms, like your bed is so close to like your roommates, and I actually had a random roommate my second semester of tech, and so I would just be like painting in bed, until it's time to, go to sleep, and she would be over there studying, and I was like, it's just funny because she was probably.
You didn't have a TV, did you?
No, yeah, we didn't have a TV. She would study because she was like a science major, so that's a lot of schoolwork, and then I would just be painting and.
All the time.
Yeah, literally all the time.
No TV. I try to picture my college dorm room without a TV. I wouldn't have ever spent any time in there.
You might have become an artist.
I
Yeah,
might
you might
have.
have.
So much I missed out on.
No, and that's how she was paying, for everything, and it's kind of, I don't know, when you look back on it, it's funny. Like, there's this weird little art girl in the dorm room.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knew who she was because she was just hanging out painting all the time. And I had seen a painting she'd done for a friend of mine, the raspberries out there in West Texas, and it looked like a picture. It was black and white acrylic on canvas, and it faces. I knew the people in it, you know. And I said, "Holy moly!" And he was telling me about it. He said, "Yeah, this chick doesn't even know she's good. Like $100 for this," and it had 5 people in it. And I said, "Get her information to me. I'm gonna win Christmas at my house because that's kind of the thing, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to one up the siblings for my parents." And we met doing that. Like I reached out, we worked out the deal. I think mine was $120.
Oh,
And yeah,
she
4
upcharged you.
four
Upcharged
people. I mean,
you.
I think she spent 6 weeks on it. So if you broke it down hourly, not a good businesswoman, but she was
No,
hustling.
not at all. The numbers were not there.
But I had built a table for a guy out here in West Texas, and I was passing through, and you don't ever want to eat alone, right? So I thought I'll take that girl out, and we went out, and she was looking good. 4 years later, we got married. It worked out real well. She about got me arrested at the dorms, but it worked. So
Yeah, he picked me up in his rodeo van, and I was a little late, and so he was in the dorm parking lots for about 20 minutes, just sitting there
cops
like a
start-
creeper. Yeah.
Yeah, no creeper van.
Texas Tech.
well, there's some girls pulling kind of over there, like probably checking their Find My Friend app. Like it was a
Somebody's getting taken.
Dodge
Yeah.
ProMaster, white. It was the tall one. It had the AC unit on the roof. It had bunk beds in the back, but they couldn't see that.
Yeah.
But it was creepy, and I was older. I'm like, man, I'm 20. Would I have been 26 at
You
the
were
time?
26.
Oh man. So here I am at a college campus. You feel like an old guy, anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was 15 minutes late, and it was starting to get a little weird. She fell for me, so it's all good.
Yeah.
It was the van.
That's what won me over. It really was. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if we'd be here.
The van.
I told her, I said, if you look behind you, we got bunk beds, you know. And yeah, I was flexing.
Showing the
for her. Yeah.
muscles, yeah.
What's that off of the first Transformers? Was
I
it like
think-
disco ball?
Where'd y'all go eat at?
Oh, Megan Fox.
No, gracious.
Oh, yeah. Well, we ended up going to the Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to go to Triple J's,
Oh, good one.
but
The
you
establishment.
want to
across from
take
Blue
over
Light.
from here? Tell your little
Uh-oh.
story.
Well,
Tell your little story.
Poked a bear there.
me and Kemper had been at I think at the time it would have been the All-American Finals. So we'd been there at the short go the week before in Waco, and there's a little blonde that I'd been hanging out with. And she's, them girls that are a little bit, like, probably come up and say something in public if they feel scorned. Mm-hmm. So she had snapped me that afternoon and said, "Ooh, I'm headed to Lubbock. We'll see if it's all you make it up to be." And I was like, "Oh, crap." It would be terrible to run into her because she'd say something. I mean, it'd get ugly. You were kissing me last weekend. What are you doing? So, anyways, I was on the phone with Parker Kempfer and George and Becky. Set the fire alarm.
Yeah, the old fire alarm. It's a. What do you think the winds are
I
today?
don't know, but I bet you that fire's picking up.
I bet it's humming.
Yeah.
Which way is the wind blowing?
South of town. It's blowing north
Oh, no.
to Throckmorton.
Towards us.
Well, this is a south-facing window, so
Yeah.
we'll see it coming.
We
Yeah,
would
we'll
see it
know.
coming.
We'll know when it's time for us to.
We would see it coming.
Always
So anyway,
thought.
yeah, you were going.
So I was on the phone with them, and I was telling them, I'm like, hey, this could be a bad deal, so-and-so. And Parker's like, oh, yeah, you don't want to bump into her. It's going to get ugly. And he said, you should check snap maps. And I was a little older, but he was, young and up on technology. He's like, she's the kind of girl, she'll be on that snap maps. And so I checked. She was sitting at Triple J's Chop House. I've got it screenshotted still on my phone today. So then Lexi gets in the truck, and she's like, I'm so excited to go to Triple J's. I've heard good things. Oh, no. And I was panicking. It just happened fast. And so I looked at her and said, you know what? You seem like a special girl, and I've had some real bad first dates at Triple J's. Let's find somewhere else. I want this to work.
Let's go to the Longhorn.
That's so smooth.
Yeah.
So smooth.
We did.
That was pretty smooth.
Probably
I didn't know the real reason why we, decided to change our plans until probably a month later. He didn't
Yeah,
really wait all that long. He's pretty open.
I'm an open.
Yeah, you're an honest
I'm an
man.
open
Yeah.
book.
Have anything to hide?
No, I did. I told her, I said, you want to hear a funny story? She said, what? And I said, remember when we didn't go to Triple J's? She said, yeah. So I told her, and she was like, well, I'm glad, because if that girl had come up and said something, Lexi's a little timid, she'd have been out. That would have been the end of it.
Yeah, like running with this guy.
Too much drama there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny when we look back on it. We got a lot of good stories, but that's one of my favorites, really.
Did you travel? Did you get to travel with him any while he was rodeoing full time?
So I did a little bit, like on the weekends if there was rodeos close
Yeah.
by, or like in the summers, like I went to Cheyenne, like I could fly a few places.
Nice.
But like during school, we really hardly saw each other because my major was pretty time consuming and like we couldn't miss class. So really it was the weekends where, if he was close enough, or a lot of times he would come and like visit me. But as far as rodeos, I got to go to a few, quite a bit more than you'd think, but still not a whole lot. We didn't see each other, but maybe once a month, like if we were lucky,
Sure. Dang, y'all were in the grind there.
Yeah, it was tough.
There was a couple times it was like 2 months without seeing each other. I mean, it was long distance.
Yeah.
Writing letters, No, we weren't writing letters, but should have been if I was more romantic. But it was like 2 months at a time every now and then. It was tough. We did 4 years, 3.5 years of that before we got married.
Right, yeah.
Well, COVID was, and I don't take this wrong. COVID was a terrible thing for a lot of people. I'm not saying it wasn't real. It was a bad deal. But for us and our relationship, it was a blessing because she'd come out. We'd been dating not that long, and she came out for spring break. I think she brought like 3 pairs of shorts, a couple swimsuits and stuff.
Yeah, like I was thinking like maybe a 5-day stay. That's all I brought, prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, she was looking homeless by day 8. COVID hit. They shut school down.
Canceled school.
Yeah, she didn't go back. And
Yeah.
I think she stayed about 58 days before she left the house. Seriously, yeah.
It was like his mom and sister were letting me borrow their clothes. Like I was wearing everyone's clothes by the end of it.
But it was good. She painted. We have a sunroom, so it's just basically a glass room. She painted all day, and then I was doing woodwork at the time, so I'd be at my shop, she'd paint, and then in the evenings we'd go rope every night. It was the best time of my life, honestly.
Living the dream there, man.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. No, that's fun to think back on on those times like that because like during COVID, similar for my wife and I, that was the first time we had gotten pregnant. And Carly was real sick, but they canceled school and she just got to sleep. And then by the time school came back, we had a baby. And so she like for a whole year, we didn't go back. That was pretty special times that we got to spend, with our, not that ranching ever slowed down, but
Because you're essential.
essential.
An essential worker.
My dad thinks weekends are essential too.
Everything except for Sunday.
You're right.
You bet.
Right. So how long did you full-time rodeo?
So after I got my master's, I rodeoed for 5 years.
Let's go back to that. You got your master's.
I did, yes, sir.
Dang.
So-
At Tech?
Nope, I did 4 years at Tech, and then I decided to switch it up. I came back to East Texas, and I went to Sam Houston.
Okay.
And it was kind of fun. So me and Parker were
Oh,
friends.
because, I remember Parker transferred, right?
Exactly. He was a freshman at Tech. Then he went to Sam. I took a year and just went hard for a year, and then I came back and got my master's. And so we lived together again for another year and a half, and it was good. And then he got his master's after I moved home, and he came and moved in there at the house and got his master's online through commerce. So it was kind of a long stretch of one of us being in school and one of us not. But we had a good time.
So you got your master's.
Did that deal, and then I hit the road, and it was kind of because I didn't want to be a bum forever. I was either going to make it or I wasn't, kind of a deal. But then something seemed to happen every year where there was just enough light to think, man, I kind of got to go again. Like, I messed my back up one year, so I didn't get to rodeo the last 3 months. And then, COVID, that year was going to be my last year, but then it shut everything down, and it was just kind of a crummy year. They canceled 3/4 of the rodeos, and everybody's going to the same ones, and I had been off to a good start that year. I'd placed at Denver, I'd placed at San Antonio and at Fort Worth, and I just thought, I'm breaking through. And then COVID shut it down, and it just didn't work. So then I thought I got to go again. And anyways, it stretched out, and I guess we were at the NFR Open a couple years back, and that went pretty good. I ended up in the top 4 because they have that shootout. You keep going through the rounds, and they have a 4-man shootout. And got done there, and in theory, you'd think, like this was a good weekend. I think that was the first year Cade Bruno won it and all that, and I'd have thought, let's keep going, but I was just at peace with it.
Yeah.
Me and Lexi were going to get married, and she was an artist, and I knew that a rodeo bum and an artist, we were going to be broke forever. And I don't know. I got done with that deal, and just before we even got on the plane the next morning to head home, I said, I'm going to start sending out resumes.
Yeah.
And it felt like time, so.
Had you been to the NFR Open at all?
No, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
Down.
I've never. I'm not.
It's the what is it?
Familiar with
Is it the top 2 guys in each circuit go to the NFR Open?
Yep, so it's your average winner and your year-end winner from each circuit. And then they have it in Colorado Springs now. It used to be the Ram National Circuit
Yeah.
Finals, but they switched up the name and took it over to Colorado Springs. And it's a cool deal. It definitely is.
Yeah.
But we did that, and it pays really well too. I mean, that's the year
Yeah.
they put Cade over the mark, kind of, I think, and I guess springboarded his year off. But it was kind of a moment against bigger guys, and I just felt like it was time to move on for me. I still rodeo. I saw you at Stanford this year.
I know. That made my day, dude.
That was awesome. Lexi doesn't know that, but there's a bathroom that's up above where you'd get ready. And so, like, I'd already rode, actually, and so I was taking my stuff off and tying my saddle up, and then Tucker's head pops out of the bathroom window, and he's looking down at us from the second story. He's like, Treyson? I was like, oh, hey, man. So, yeah, it was pretty dang funny. I guess he could hear my voice. Again.
I was like, hey, I know that voice.
Yeah.
Open up the window. There he was.
There's that lady's voice again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. So, yeah, what was that experience like of rodeoing full time, living in the van? I just feel like not many people get that. I don't know if opportunity is the word you call it, but that lifestyle just is so unique.
It's a lot cooler when you're younger. Like, you kind of like that whole sleeping on couches and, starting a business in your garage theory, like it's cool to be broke and trying to do big things when you're young. And I loved it. But the older I got, it was like, man, like that guy's talking about a 401k. That sounds kind of cool. It'd be fun to try that out for a change,
Have some stability.
Exactly. I always want enough to get into the next one, but I never want enough to have a ton to show for it. And so I think your stage of life changes. And my stage of life was getting to the point where I had seen all the things and done all the things. And it's an experience, like you said. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, what you get from that is the people you meet, the networking, and all the opportunities. But if you've done it, and you haven't broke through yet, then I think you have to make a responsible decision at some point. So, and me and Kemper have talked about that. Like, if he hadn't done that, he probably would have not got too far out of Florida, right? Because their family has a great operation down there, and they're going to go and grow that thing. But he's gotten to go all over the United States and meet all kinds of people. And, regardless how it ends, when he gets ready to hang it up, he won't have any regrets either. And that's how I felt about it.
Sure.
I was at peace with it and loved every minute of it. And I still like to go to circuit rodeos. Takes 15 to go to circuit finals. And this year, I think I hit 16 because I was worried that my count might be off. And so we got our 16. We'll go to the circuit finals, still see our friends, make a little money. But it's a side hustle now instead of a job.
Yeah.
Got a job that pays the bills, and you don't have to worry as much about winning when you show up.
Yeah, right.
Everything else is just
That
kinda
take any
gravy.
pressure off your game?
It seems to have. Ryder, my buddy, he jokes about it. Every time I said I was ready to retire, I'd go to winning again. And it does, because it's like, I'm just having fun now. I'm done. Like, I sent out a resume, and I'm probably going to get that job. This is my last rodeo with my friends. And then, you go win something because you don't feel like you have to pay next month's bills that way.
Yeah.
But, and it's been now, like, I don't know, like I said, it's all paid before you get there. So you don't have to ride tight. You can be free and just have fun. And a lot of times that's, truly the only way to do it, because trying to safety up or something doesn't work out too good in the long run. There's so many guys that ride so good now.
Yeah.
You have to expose yourself and go try to be 85. Look at these big rodeos. A lot of them, you're pulling $200-300 with an 84-point ride, and used to that would have won the rodeo. There's just a lot of talented guys. Kids coming out of high school ride on a level that we did not ride on when we came out of high school. Like, there's so many talented little turds out there now.
Okay, before we rotate over to talking more about your books and the art in the books and everything, what was your favorite rodeo that you got to be a part of?
Pendleton, for sure.
Pendleton?
Yeah. I like San Antonio a lot, too. But
Really?
Yeah, I do. It's close to home. It's the winter. But Pendleton there's just nothing like it.
I would agree. I went there for the first time this year. I got to sit behind Parker as he got on and rode.
It's an experience. There's nothing else.
Awesome. I got to go out onto the grass arena. It was
You
crazy.
sit with the Cowboys? Like, while they're bucking horses?
Well, so it just happened to be that I was there with Pendleton Whiskey, and they took us behind the chutes, and it just so happened to be during the Bronc riding.
Oh, hey.
And they're like, y'all stand back, do not talk to anybody. If you do, like, we're kicking you out. And the people I was with did not know any of the riders. but I think Stetson was riding and Parker was right beside him. And he was like, the guy was like, hey, if y'all don't know, like, these are some of the best right here. That guy over there in the blue shirt, that's one of the Wright brothers. And I was like, and then Parker's right beside him. And he goes, who? And I was like, can I go stand behind that guy? And he was like, yeah, but don't talk to him. I was like, okay. So I was just standing back there behind Parker and I think it was Stetson. But yeah, it was just cool to see the whole. I'd never been right there.
Yeah.
As everything was getting tight, getting there.
When it's running
right.
fast, because it's a production.
Yeah.
You got to spit it out.
Yep.
I don't know what the time is there, but a lot of times, you want a 2-hour bam, bam, bam. I mean, it's not fast like Cheyenne, but they're still running it quick. And so to see it at the speed of commerce, if you will, is kind of fun. But you should have pushed the horse's head out and seen if you didn't botch it. All your friends would be like, what the heck did you do?
Yeah, glad I did not do that.
This year, during our national sales meeting for my company, we were in Fort Worth, and they bought everybody tickets to the rodeo, but they forgot me in the email, I guess because I've only been with them at that time about a year. And so there was an email that went out to everybody, but I didn't get it. And it was like, if you want to go to the rodeo in the evening after dinner or whatever, answer back and we'll buy a ticket. So I got left out, but all my buddies were up that night. And so I just grabbed an old back number that I had, and they still look the same at Fort Worth. So
Threw it on.
yeah, you just put it in your belt and went in the contestant entrance, and all the people from work were like, what? We saw you down there. And I was like, well, that's because you guys forgot to buy me a ticket,
Had to find
I
my
was
own way.
forgotten about. Thanks, Data Mars. It was funny, but it worked out. It was kind of cool.
So so let's rotate over into talking about a really cool project that both of you are working together on now. You already have one children's book out, and that Carly and I have at our house, and then you're working on 2 others. I don't know if they're both a book, but you're working on 2 separate
Projects.
Yeah. Let's talk about those. What's the first one?
All right, so we've got, for Christmas this year, we've got a poem book coming out. I would call it more of a brochure or a pamphlet. I mean, it's like 25 pages. It'll be paperback, kind of perfect size to go in a stocking stuffer. It's called Porta Pot Poetry, Poems that Invoke Thought While You're Sitting Upon the Pot. It's kind of...
So sophisticated.
This was the original project. I've been doing poetry for, I don't know, probably 15 years now, just on my own. It's how I get my feelings out.
Yeah.
And last year we wanted to put this book together, and I didn't quite have enough poems that I thought were quality to put out there, And other people are going to think even the ones I put out might not be quality, but these are the best that I had. But last year I didn't have those. And that's where the first book came around, is one of the poems, we got to reading it, and we thought, man, this, if we dumbed it down, or at least cleaned it up a little, this could make a really cool little children's book. And Lexi, she's really, like she said, she's into faces. That's what put her on the map, is portraits and stuff. She's realistic. But she said it would be fun to try to cartoonize and do this. So she took it over and ran with it. And I mean, you've read the book. The story's just, it's just a structure. But her artwork brought it together. That's where the kids love it.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And it was, I would say, a huge success in our terms. Everybody gauges things differently.
Right.
But it was good for us, so we decided to do it again. Now we're also launching the poetry book, just because it's kind of like fulfilling the original intent. You know what I mean? It's almost a personal thing. And I think it's going to go over well. But the second children's book, she's just taken what she learned last year with her artwork, and I don't know. I think this one is going to go over even better than what do you think, Lex?
Yeah, I do think so. So like with the first one, like he said, I mostly focused on like realistic things. Like even like with the Western art, like I look at a picture and I can sit there and get pretty close to the picture. And so I had to kind of teach myself a whole new skill. And so the last children's book took about 3 months for me. Like I bought an iPad, and that's what I did the illustrations on. So I had to teach myself the different softwares and, all the specifics of the sizing and everything, as long as like the new skill of how to cartoonize these characters and come up with my own style too, And so now, since the Cell Barn Scam book, I've established like a character base and I have my own little style. So then I was able to just expand on that with this one. And cool. I feel like the graphics, the illustrations have really come a long way. Like these ones look a little bit. I didn't struggle as much, I guess. And this one's about some bucking horses too. So the characters, the animals are my favorite in them. Because normally, like, I love the people, but in the cartoons, because their eyes, that's the main thing that people tell me. Like, I love their eyes. They're just so cute.
Really?
You know? And that's something that stands out. That's, like, the main thing people have told me. So I think it's going to go over really good. And the message behind it is really sweet, too. You know, it's about, you know, just not, even whenever people tell you to quit or you should, you know, change your direction, it's never going to work out. And this is about, you know, staying true to, you know, chasing your dreams or what you believe in. And, yeah, I think it's going to be really cute.
Perseverance. And
Yeah.
I don't know, everybody, what you do this with this podcast, you do it with your content, is we all love this industry.
Yeah.
We have a role to play, and some people's roles are bigger than others. I mean, some of us grew up on generational ranches, and so you have that legacy to continue on. Others of us, Lexi grew up in town. You know, we had 30 head of cows and a Paul scale when I grew up, and that was wonderful. But this is kind of our way to, I want to say educate. I don't think our books are educational, but if you go down to your Barnes & Noble, the book that, you know, Blue Truck or the kids' books today that portray our industry, it's more farms and, you know, they're
Very much farmy. Yeah,
very much farmy.
Very
And
farmy.
they're
You got a
cute,
pig, you got a horse, you got a duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't rent pigs.
You don't rent pigs. You got a little blue truck.
But
Valentine's card.
well, that's exactly Redbird, whatever. And these books to us is, it introduces people to, I guess, our industry on a more true scale or a realistic scale. Anybody that's been to the sale barn and bought somebody else's problem appreciates that first book.
Yeah.
The kids love it because the illustrations are adorable. And I mean, there's mice in the corner eating popcorn and they look cute. And there's birds in the trees. Like every time the kid reads that book, they're finding a new animal or something small. But the adults are enjoying it because it rings true to your cattle buyers and everybody that, I don't know, I think we are the #1 sale barn children's book out there. There's not a lot of books describing
Flex.
the sale barn industry.
Flex.
And this second book is about bucking horses and trading horses in general. And I mean, you've seen the briefs on it, Tucker. It touches a different demographic, still within the ag industry, but
Yeah, a little more rodeo-like.
Yeah.
A little more rodeo side.
for sure. And a little bit of horse trading humor in there.
Yep.
And so to us, that's our way to kind of give back a little bit or portray what we see on an everyday basis.
And I think rodeo is one of the best describers of our industry to, you know, the rest of the U.S. that they don't go to a ranch once a year, but there's a lot of people that go to a rodeo once a year. And that's like the cowboy Western way of life. Whenever they think of cowboys, a lot of time rodeo is what comes to mind rather than like ranching or working cattle or
Exactly.
you know, training horses, things like that. But and now you got to travel full-time rodeo, be a part of sharing the story there, and now both of you are sharing the story through the book.
Yeah.
And is your target, I mean, I know you're making it for the kids, but I feel like grandparents just would eat the book up.
I think we think of it a lot as, have you seen, I mean, Hoodwinked or those cartoon movies that we all, like if you've got a nephew, you've seen a bunch of, or you've got kids, you know, you watch the same movies and it's the little things that make it bearable, I suppose. If you're reading, we were at Texas Cattle Raisers, and I was talking to Miss Martha Garrett, and she had a friend with her, and she introduced her. She said, "Oh, this is Treyson Antonick." And this gal's talking to me, and she says, "Wait, did you write a book?" I said, "Oh, yeah, me and my wife did." She said, "You need to write another one. I'm so sick of reading your first one." She said, "You read it 3 times a night." And that was probably the biggest compliment, because it's, you know, your friends are all going to tell you they like what you're doing. And for a stranger to tell you, you know, it's gone over well.
Yeah, somebody you just met too, you know.
The biggest compliment. And so her thing was, my kid loves that book. We read it 3 times a night. You need to come out with another one. And I think that was, I mean, that's where the people in the industry they were there. That was Texas Cattle Raisers. You know, you're not there unless you're living it every day. And I don't know, I took a lot off of that. I'm like, okay, we need to do this a second time, because
That's cool.
it was just really kind of an exciting compliment. So,
What's the first one called again?
Bronc Buster and the Sale Barn Scam.
In the sale barn scam. That's right.
Classic American story of buying somebody else's problem, the heartache that goes along with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the
Learning
second,
the hard way, kind of.
it's the only way to learn.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, and then we got Porta Pot poetry coming out. Be the perfect stocking stuffer. You know, you don't know what to get your dad for Christmas. Well, you need this book and some poopery for the bathroom. Boom. There you go. That's the perfect dad gift. And then Lexi's new book, Bronc Buster and the 401k. It's got some humor, got some financial literacy, you know, if you're really digging deep. But the kids are going to love the illustrations. The adults will enjoy the kind of undercut humor mixed in. So
Yeah, kind of undercut's good. The not exactly adult humor, just more of the stuff
No.
that we understand because we lived it, right?
yeah, it's not crude. It's not humor like that, but it's kind of if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And there's some of that. We had our first, I wouldn't call it hate mail, but our first negative feedback with the first book, and it was somebody that just wasn't from the industry, and they didn't get the underlying joke there, and it was kind of, I don't know, you know what's coming, but it still was like, oh, they didn't like it, you know. But you sell that many, you're gonna have a few that don't see it, and then that's our way to educate too,
Right.
is to explain, you know, this is what Romp'em and Ace is, because what other children's book make a joke about Romp'em and Ace?
Yeah.
And so then you kind of explain, and I had a lady from the city, she said, you know, I had to Google what Romp'em and Ace was and why that would be applied, but that's pretty funny stuff. And
Yeah, once they start getting the joke, then
you're just educating people, you know, because we're getting further away you know, from the ranch every year, so I don't know. And Lexi's got a lot of projects going. It's not just the books. I mean, she's teaching a little bit of our lifestyle through her artwork, through her murals. I mean, she's got a big old bronc rider in West Texas that's kind of cool because I was looking at it and the stirrups didn't look right, and I asked her, I was like, why are the stirrups white, you know? And she's like, well, I took it right off this picture. Well, she had meshed a bunch of pictures together, and she had one of my bronc riding photos, and I'd added a bunch of tape to my stirrups because I was blowing stirrups. And so, you know, it's kind of cool to know. You look up at this 19-foot tall mural, and you're looking at like, them stirrups look funny. Well, look, because those are oxbows with tape on them, and she didn't realize, you know. So there's a lot of little things, but I think that through her different artwork, she's getting to share kind of the way she sees the industry through her eyes.
Lexi, you still get to do you still do like portrait stuff?
I do. I don't do as much of it because I did get burnt out like in college.
Yeah.
That was all I did. And like he said, whenever you broke it down hourly at the time, I just wasn't charging what I should have been.
I was about to ask, can I get one for 120?
Yeah, I know. That was like high for me. Like I was so surprised. Like I can't believe I priced something at that high and someone bought it. And so I don't do as many. Because, like, with pricing, that's kind of tricky. It's like a fine line to walk because a lot of times, too, like, I know the people who are coming to me to buy things. So then, like, you feel guilty. But then you have to remember, too, like, it's a skill not everyone can do. Like, people who truly appreciate it will pay for it. And if it's too much for them, then that's fine, too, you know? So I have a few that I'm going to do, like, around for this Christmas season. But I don't really advertise them as much just because, you know, everyone wants one, but it is so hard for me to price it what I should. And I still enjoy doing them. I don't want to lose that joy again because I went like a little over a year without doing a portrait because I had a bad experience with one. And so, yeah, I kind of keep it at a minimum just so I don't lose the joy and I can still like enjoy doing it and want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want to get burnt out on it.
Right.
What made y'all make the decision of we're gonna commit, do this book together? What was that process like? I don't know which one of you has that answer, but
I think it would be his idea. He had the idea. So like he said, he has these notes on his phone, and he just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, and they're just all his poetry on that one little note. And he just had this idea that, you know, it'd be cool to do a children's book. And at first when he mentioned it, I was like, yeah, that's like a great idea, but I never thought like we'd actually follow through with it, you know, like actually do it, because it's just kind of unknown territory. Like I don't know anyone who's ever even published a book, you know, much less how to do the illustrations and all the like kind of technical stuff that goes into it, because you know there's a lot more than just doing the pictures. You have to worry about things being cut off and it being the right size and the bleed and all that. So I had to learn a lot, but yeah, he started that idea. And
what I will say, Lexi is like, I'm a big picture guy, and I brought her the idea. I said, I think this would be cool. And I came home from work maybe 2 days later, because I'm out 2 to 3 nights a week. And she said, okay, these are 3 publishers we can go through. These are the margins I have to use if we're going to do this, this, and that. And she was on top of it. Like, you know, she will do the research and she'll run with it. And she did. Like, I might have sat there with this idea. You know, I might have been that 80-year-old guy. Man, I had this idea back in the day that would have been so cool. We all know somebody that dies with a dream, right? And that's something. I keep throwing paint on the wall, and not a lot of my paint sticks. Maybe historically, it started sticking lately, but historically, that's how you get ahead in life. And I know a lot of gentlemen who will tell you, I had $1 million idea. I'm still keeping it. You can't take it now. Well, why didn't you try it? See if it worked. I mean, if you're not taking risks, you're not getting ahead. And not that this is a big risk, right, to put a book out, but that was kind of our thing, is we don't want to be the people sitting back saying, we always thought it would be cool. No, like, Lexi's doing art full time, and she tries to do 2 murals a year. She does, what do you got, maybe 18 special Christmas commission pieces, but she likes to mix it up. So she has the time now. Let's take a risk and let's do this. And if the worst thing that happens is you gave up 2 months, I mean, there's a lot of people that have built giant businesses and they might have given up a couple years in prison or something. You know, we gave up 2 months working on a book, and I think she would tell you it felt like prison.
Yeah, there were some times prison might have even sounded funny.
She was putting like on the first book especially, probably 14-hour days in. Like, I would come home and she'd still be wearing the clothes she was wearing 3 days ago when I left, and she was looking a little homeless, and it cost us a lot of money, honestly, because I would say, I'm gonna take you to a nice dinner tonight. It made her get up and take a shower and get cleaned up, and so we'd have to run to town just so that she would remember a little self-care.
You were the grind.
I really was, and like, I don't know if you've ever spent like just days, you know, on using technology, and you're just sitting at this screen and you're just working on it, and especially like with artwork, like, I'm my worst critic. Well, Treyson was pretty critical sometimes too. We got to a point in the book where I told him, I'm done showing you. You're going to see it at the end, and then you can tell me little things. But, you know, it was hard. It was a very hard process, just because there's just so much that goes into it. And a little mess up isn't so little whenever you have all these layers of, you know, just your artwork. And so, I was in the thick of it. But we pulled through, and it was worth it. Like, that was just the coolest feeling. We were actually, last year, we were on our way to Florida for the circuit finals, and he knew, like, was it FedEx or UPS driver?
It was a UPS driver.
It was a UPS driver. He knew him, and so we tracked down our book, and he helped us track down our driver, and we met them as we were, like, heading out of town to get our book sample, you know, to see it. And I just remember that was just the coolest feeling. It's like, wow, all the hard work, all the frustration and hard times were worth it. And it was just kind of amazing. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I just never, like, it surprised me how kind of professional it looked. You know, I just never imagined, you know, that, you know, from him saying that, I thought it just, you know, an idea. Yeah. And it was just so cool to see.
It's been fun, and like she said, she would like to do, in a perfect world, you know, 2 murals a year, a book a year, and then she can mix her other stuff in, and it breaks it up. And she's not looking at an iPad, she's not looking at a wall. I mean, a couple nights ago, she was up on a scissor lift for 2 hours because she got it high centered. I haven't driven a lot of scissor lifts, but my artist has, and she got it. I guess it won't move if the wheels are off the ground. And she got one wheel dug into a hole, one wheel off the ground. She was stranded for 2 hours. My dad had to go get her in the dark and help her get the scissors.
Yeah, he had to bring a chain and everything. It was so funny.
But, you know, that's all fun unless you're doing it every day. And so that's what she's found with her art, is to stay inspired. She likes to mix it up, and that's good for me because I like to come up with different random ideas and we can run with them. And I don't know, like even this year when we saw you at Marco, you know, she was able to do a special piece for the Florida Cattlemen's Convention. and it's something different. You know, that was Alcohol Inc. And I think that not getting stuck in one thing, she doesn't get that burnout that a lot of people seem to get. And then she can still jump in. She has the freedom of schedule. She goes on the road with me, and I honestly admit half my customers would rather see her than me. And, like I had somebody the other day ask, I pulled up and they said, "Hey, where's Lexi?" And I said, she had to stay home. She was working on a mural, you know, and they told me, "Well, stop by next time when she's here." I was I was a little flabbergasted. I was like, "Okay, have a good one," and I left. Like, they don't want to see me. I'm like, okay. But it's been a joy having that. Just, I mean, you know how it is in the first couple of years of marriage. Like, we did long distance for a long time. And we like being married and we like hanging out, and life's a lot more fun with her in it. So every, 3-4 weeks, she jumps in the car and we hit the road and go sell tags. But then she can get back to it and just break it up. It's been fun.
And now you've sold over 1,000 copies of your first book.
Yeah, that's
Over
pretty
1,100,
exciting.
over 1,200. Just stop me when? Over 1,300.
Yeah, somewhere around a little over that. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
So, one by one. Yeah, this is not, Barnes and Noble selling it. This is Lexi, door to door.
Door to door. You ship it from home?
Yes, we do. So it's funny. Whenever we launched the first book, we ordered 700, and we thought that was a big number. We were like, we're really gonna have to, knock on doors and go store to store. And just through our Facebooks and people sharing it and just word of mouth, we pretty much sold out of those in the first 2 days. Yeah.
Really?
And so then
I thought you were gonna say like months.
Yeah, I thought it was
no,
like the first 2 months.
yeah.
2 days.
And it was disappointing too, because we got them on December 17th, and we put out our Facebook post. We sold out in 2 days, and then we reordered, but it's 6 weeks before you get the next batch.
So we missed,
So, and we didn't order that many more in the second batch, probably like 300, because we know it's coming in January. Christmas is your season. But we sold out of that batch in probably a week, and then it slowly trickled. I mean, we've sold them all year long, baby showers and this and that, because there's a lot of things to get a gift for, and if you're from our industry, to be able to share something that means something to you it's surprised us, the support we've gotten out of that.
Yeah, but it was funny though, because whenever we were having to ship one, like we were doing it by hand, and so we had like an assembly line, and his dad came and helped for quite a bit, and one of us would be writing down addresses and double checking, the other one would be counting the books, putting them in there, and it was just pretty.
But we learned a lot. This year we're going to do a pre-order, and that way we don't have to knock out 700 addresses in 2 days. We can be preparing
prepping that.
All the envelopes will be ready, and when that first shipment of books comes in, they can roll out. We're not a production manufacturer. We haven't been in the big plants. We don't know how they do it. They probably have robots or something, because of the two of us, I mean, it's getting it for a day of shipping books. And we live in a town smaller than Tracon, so this is a thriving metropolis, as you would say. Compared to where we live, we have a museum, because our school blew up back in the day, and that's why natural gas smells like eggs.
Wow.
They added that additive after London, Texas. It's called New London now because it's rebuilt, but it filled up with natural gas, and a spark went off, and
Loaded.
a lot of 200 to 400 kids. They're not sure because records back then were different.
Goodness.
Horrible bill. But we have a school, we have a post office, we have a gas station that does not sell gas, and a museum. And so our poor post office lady, I mean, because you think 700 books, it sounds, well, you've worked in a warehouse.
Yeah.
You know how many shirts add up. 700 books, I mean, it was, this poor post office lady, Lexi was taking them in by the box.
Yeah.
4 times a day, because it wouldn't overload her at any one time. But I mean, Miss Virgie, she was clutch.
She was.
I feel bad for those post ladies. Like at Dale's Winnebago post office during the Black Friday deals, and there's just boxes and boxes coming through there.
And there's like one worker probably at that point.
Yeah, there's like one worker, maybe 2, and they're having to like do everything with those boxes. It was like, we're gonna be back with like, this is even half of it. This is like a 10.
That's exactly. We're gonna get Miss Virgie a Christmas present this year. We talked about it last
Yeah,
year.
we're gonna get her something sweet.
We had good intent, but this year we're gonna follow through.
Yeah.
That's right. So where can they, if somebody does want to buy it, where can they get it?
On my website, so the website is new. We just launched it a few months ago, but on LexiAntonickFineArt.com is where people can go and order it.
Lexi Antonick
.com. Yes.
We'll put that in the description.
In the description.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know it's kind of long. It's hard to remember too.
But a lot of your sales are on Facebook. That's cool.
Yeah, and before we were doing it, and that's where now we can direct them to the website.
Yeah.
But our marketing is all on Facebook. But before it was like, send us a message. Okay, here's your shipping address. Here's our Venmo. And you start to feel it's a lack of
Yes.
professionalism. Yeah, like I'm not selling rims for 202 Honda, or it's we got to step it up. So now it's like Shopify, and that's
Yeah.
a real deal.
It's like
business.
official now.
That's what we don't we have Shopify?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're official.
Registermansion.com.
Reservation.com. I forgot what website.
But that way, then it tracks, so you're better with the IRS. Because before, it was like, oh, these are all gifts. We had 700 gifts of $30 on Venmo.
We really like sending gifts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Now that 87,000, IRS agents are probably gonna check out our Venmo. But
Yeah, the millions of people that watch this,
Hmm.
it's all, it's all. Well, that's cool. Anything else you want to share before we do wrap it up?
I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout. We like the feedback.
Oh yeah, because your 2 new books aren't out yet.
No, they should be here by the time this airs. They should be arriving, because they're off to children's books off to the publisher, Barnes and Noble, and then the poetry book is out of the guy in Lubbock. So it's a smaller company. We have a little more control that way, but they're both off and should be getting made up. I think when this airs, they'll be ready to go. But we're gonna do a pre-order, so
Where can they do the pre-order? Website?
Yep, website.
Yeah.
Pre-order on the website.
So,
How much for the book? I paid. I have one. I should know, but I don't.
They're $25 plus shipping.
Plus shipping.
Yeah.
Star asterisk.
and the poetry book, the price will
yeah.
be right there on the website, and that's the price that it'll be. We're still working on figuring out what that price is.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, what, is it coming?
Yeah, it will be. Just check it out on that website.
Yeah, you gotta go on the website if you want to find out the price.
And that website is Lexi Antonick
Fine.
Fine Arts. Fine Art or Fine Arts?
Art.
Or Fine
Fine
Art. .com.
Reach out to the Instagrams, the Facebook, Lexi's page, because we do like to hear. We've got some really good feedback. Some people giving ideas for this would be a cool book in the future. And we're not big. We're just 2 small people. But that feedback we have gotten has been really cool. It's given us ideas, and just getting that interaction with people that got joy from it has been really cool.
Yeah, and it's been super cool. Like, we'll get pictures and videos of like the little kids reading their book, or
Oh yeah.
even this year there's a little boy in Missouri that's dressing up as Treyson, the Bronc Buster, for at school for Western Day.
Yeah, they had to. No, it wasn't Western Day. It was dress as your favorite book
Oh,
character.
okay.
And I think they take the book, and then so some kids could be Spider-Man, anything you want really. But his mom sent me a message and was like, "I'm buying a new felt for my child. Thanks a lot." It was so shout out Shelby. But that was really cool. I was like, my goodness gracious, the only time anybody's ever dressed like me is when somebody dressed like in an orange jumpsuit for Halloween. But this is cool. So.
And then, one of the other parts I forgot to add was that the people in your book are people you know, like they're like a part of your life.
That was kind of our thank you, I think, for just everything someone's done for us.
Yeah.
The banners in the rodeo arena. Well, we needed banners, so we can either make something up, or we can give our different friends a shout out. So a lot of people have helped us along the way, not necessarily with the book, but with just life in general.
Right. Right.
So that's been kind of. A lot of them didn't know they were in it until afterwards.
Oh,
And the
that's
same
neat.
thing with this one. There's a few characters that are in it. What the heck, man? I needed somebody to hold the construction sign. You were the guy. So there's going to be some enjoyment amongst our friend group. Some surprises.
Mhm.
It'll be good.
Well, we like to wrap up the podcast in 2 different ways. One, if you have a Bible verse that's been on your mind, or one of your favorites that you wanted to share.
So I don't really have a favorite, but this year there have been several, I'd say in the last year and a half, several instances, kind of traumatic events for different families within the rodeo world, and been just the ag world in general, you know, and not to name names, but I think there've been 4 or 5 just horrible things. People have lost their children in terrible ways, and I've been thinking about that a lot. It's been on my mind, and I was thinking about Job the other day, and in, I think it's, I don't know it, can't quote it, but 27, might be like 2 through 5, and he talks about, you know, with every breath, and he's just still giving it back to God after all those horrible things have happened. And I was thinking about that because these people have lost, you know, maybe a 4-year-old, and it's just been some really, really sad things. But seeing the reactions from the family on Facebook, on social media, you know, these aren't people that I was super close with, but that was a testimony to me. They've gone through these horrible trials that are going to affect the rest of their lives, and yet they were still using those trials to glorify God. So I'd say Job 27, 2 through maybe 5, don't know, check it out and you'll know. But it's somewhere in there, and that's what he's doing, is he's still, after all his trials, giving it back.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It's pretty powerful. Like when you get to the end of the first chapter, like this dude just lost his whole family, everything, like all of his goats, donkeys are all killed. And like at the last verse of that chapter is like, still Job did not curse God or sin, or sin against God. I forget how they say it, but something like that. It's like, dang.
And his wife's asking him to.
Yeah, like
his
his
friends
wife's
are
asking
telling him
him.
it's his
Yeah.
fault. Like,
And still, he's like, Job never sinned or cursed God. Like, and like how you're saying with these people that are losing their kids and stuff, it's just like, those are some strong individuals, some faithful individuals.
Gotta have the house built on the rock, baby.
Yes, sir.
you bet.
House built on the rock. So the other way that we like to end it. I gotta grab my headphones.
Wait, when does she has?
Oh yeah, you have one.
I'd say.
How dare me?
I've always liked Psalms 91:4. He'll cover you with his wings, and with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. That's just something I've always loved. I kind of like how it gives you like a mental picture, and I feel like it applies not only to like, you know, safety, like whenever you're on the road or like when he's rodeoing and stuff, but also like a sense of security and like knowing like he's right there. You know what I mean? I like that one. I feel like that's a good reminder for me in more ways than just safety. Just knowing like you're not alone. He's protecting you, whether it's like giving you confidence to speak on a podcast, or if you're traveling the road or whatever you may be doing.
Yeah. Kind of like you did to Parker when he made it to Tech.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And it just fits because you're an artist. And
Yeah, I like the visual
Uh-huh.
scriptures.
Oh, that's good. And the other thing I like to do is I like to end it. I love broadcasting. I love rodeo announcers, and I would love for one of you to do your best rodeo announcing sign off. And you don't have to.
Well, I feel like I talk too much, and my poor wife is quiet and meek, and I always talk over her. So out of the goodness of my heart, Lexi.
Oh,
sign
you
us off.
are so kind.
I'll give you a little music here. Will that help?
Yeah. So I'm Lexi, and this is Treyson, and thank you for checking out our podcast. And if you like reading Western books with children's books with a little funny twist, check out LexiAntonicFineArt.com and order yours today.
Bingo.
Loved it.
Bingo. You're trained. You got it. Treyson Antonick and Lexi Antonick on the Registered Ranching Podcast. Thank y'all so much for being a part. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was fun. Congrats on the new books. Excited for that to come out. 1,500 in the first 48 hours. Is that what we said was going to happen?
That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, that's the
You better
goal.
move past that. If you see it, you better get it while you see it, because it might be gone.
Probably be closer to 1,000 because that's what we ordered in the first shipment. So 1,000 the first 2 days.
That'd be all right. You'd be all right with that?
That'd be great.
Thanks, guys. It means a lot you're here. Thanks for coming to Throckmorton. Willie, on to the next one.
On to the next one.
We're still ranching. Got a lot of ranching to do.
A lot of catching up.
Got a lot of catching up. That bull sale kind of put us down. We've been gone. Time to catch up. Back on the ranch. We're out of here.
Remember,
But don't forget, y'all stay classy
ranch on them.
and ranch on.